Hi guys, I'm Parsifal. I also go by Will, and I am back for another speed paint and talk video. This isn't really a topic video, it's just sort of me talking about my experiences with something very specific. And I don't really know if anyone else feels this way, but I wanted to talk about it for myself. Um, just because I know that sometimes it makes me feel bad, but I also feel like it's something that should be talked about, I think, just in general, in case there's anyone out there who does feel like me, and so that they can know that they're not alone in feeling this way. Um, so, this is sort of unscripted. I have bullet points, but I don't exactly know specifically where this is going to go, so this is probably going to take a few different takes on this. Um, but we'll see how well it goes. As you can see by the footage, this is very, very old footage. It's currently 2022 when I'm recording this, and this footage is from 2019 at the latest, probably more like 2018. I'm not actually sure because I don't really remember a lot of 2018 and 2019 in terms of timelines. I just remember it in sort of vague strokes, just because it's been so long. Um, but I wanted to do something with this footage, and the original idea I had for this footage was going to be a video on redesigning characters and my process therein. And I ended up not doing that video just because I found it relatively hard to actually script out, because I don't actually think I am currently able to articulate my process well enough to explain it in a video. But then I just had this video footage lying around for several years, never getting used, and I didn't really know what to do with it. Um, Plus, it was tied to a bunch of other stuff that I'm gonna somewhat go into. Um, but because it's personal, I am going to avoid saying any names, which includes the names of anyone related to the OC in the video or the art in the video, um, because this OC does not belong to me. But this footage was also benched for the same reason I'm talking about this topic today. So, as usual, because this is probably going to be a longer video, if you guys want to just mute me and put on your own music, just let the speed play run in the background and watch it, go right ahead. That's totally fine. Other than that, let's get into the topic at hand. So, as you probably can read from the title of the video, I'm going to be talking about my experiences with gift art. And that is one of the reasons why this footage was. It's one of the reasons why I chose this topic for this footage. Because this, as I said earlier, this OC is not mine, it belongs to someone else. And it was, in fact, gift art. It was a redesign of the design that you can see in the black border on the upper left, and then I did sketches of the character and redesigned them for the person who owned the character, since they did not do the original design. And I had permission from the character owner to do so and to play around with it, so I did so. And this was not paid, this was entirely voluntary gift art. If it was paid, it might have been an art trade, but I actually don't remember. But point being said, this was not a commission. I do consider art trades not gift art, but for the intents and purposes of this, this was, at least I remember it being gift art. And I used to do a lot of gift art. I used to really like drawing other people's characters. When I was in RP groups, I liked drawing for people. I liked surprising people with just doodles of their characters. I liked just sketching them in my sketchbook, I would save references of their characters onto my phone and draw them while I was in class. Um, I would do a lot of gift art. Um, and it was just something fun. I liked doing it because I liked being able to practice for a long time. Up until about 2013, 2014, I really hated drawing other people's characters because I didn't like how they looked in my style. But around 2014, 2015, I started to get a handle on how to translate things into my style and being a little bit more fluid and drawing characters that I wouldn't usually draw. And I had a lot of fun with that and learning and experimenting. And I drew other people's characters more and more often. Um, in 2018 ish, I discovered Art Fight because I believe it's my fourth year in 2021. So 2017, 2018, I discovered Art Fight, which helped me draw even more people's characters, and I am really into that still. I love Art Fight so much. I love drawing other people's characters. Um, but if people follow my social media these days, they will know that for a good chunk of 2020 and 2021, 2020 I almost entirely missed Art Fight. I mostly did sketches, and 2021, while I did do a lot of Art Fight, I only sort of just got back into doing gift art. In 2019 and 2020, I got super, super burned out with gift art because I had been drawing other people's OCs so much, and I just I hit a wall. I got super burned out at gift art because a lot of the stuff that I was doing was, well, it was a gift. It was something that I was doing on my own time. It was something that I was doing for fun and for free, and I wasn't getting anything in return. And I don't think that people should be like, "Oh, you should pay people back for gifts." I very much do not agree with that. Um, I am frankly insulted when people try and pay me back for gifts, to the point where some people have expressed concern this past Christmas of 2021 about paying me back for gifts that I have given them for Christmas. And I had to tell them not to do that because that goes against my personal gift giving credence. Credence? Morality? My gift giving personal rules. Um, but I was in a situation in 2019, 2020, where I was drawing other people's OCs more than I was drawing my own OCs, in fact. And part of it was because I was in a lot of RP groups, and a lot of those RP groups granted you in group currency for drawing other people's characters. And a lot of it was also that I was, for the first time in a long time, getting exposed to people who were in those groups who didn't draw because they were primarily writers or they weren't super fast artists. Um, Not that there's anything wrong with speed, but I do know that I am a significantly faster artist than a lot of people. Um, and that made gift art a lot easier because it wasn't taking up like an egregious amount of my time. Um, and I like giving gifts in general. So for a couple years, giving art gifts was my main way of giving gifts because I'd gone from having a disposable income to not having disposable income in 2017 because I was working mostly retail as opposed to, being in school and not having to pay for anything except for like, room and board, which were paid for by my family. Um, and it got kind of difficult um, because I hit a point, without getting too much into detail about things, I hit a point where I felt like all the work that I was doing wasn't being reciprocated, I guess is the phrase. Um, and that's a little bit of a weird phrase to use, and I don't particularly like it, but I don't really know any other way to phrase it. So if you have a better way to phrase it, feel free to let me know in the comments. But the situation was that I felt like I was giving a lot to people in my life, and I wasn't getting enough back in return. And this isn't to say like I wanted to be paid back, as I said, but I felt like people were sort of taking advantage of the fact that I would willingly just draw gift art when, um, like, when I was just in the mood, and they would get some pretty high quality art, in my opinion, for it. I did a lot of like fully shaded, like half bodies, a lot of full bodies, um, and a lot of like very clean, very crisp work that I did at points use as commission samples. And if it wasn't gift art, it was art trades, but art trades that I later felt were sort of. I don't want to say that they weren't worth what I got in return, because I do believe everyone's art style, regardless of skill level, is worth something. But it made me feel weird looking back on it. And looking back on it, I feel like I was giving more than I was getting back. Um, and that is not a fact, that is just a feeling. And this is not to devalue anyone's work at all. Um, it was just a feeling. And this is also admittedly connected to a lot of emotional stuff at the time. Emotionally, I wasn't feeling very fulfilled. Um, I wasn't feeling like my needs were met at the time. And I think that's partly why the art gifts were sort of tied into that, because at the time, gift giving was one of my love languages. And so I was giving a lot emotionally with this gift giving and with this time. And I wasn't receiving stuff in return that was an equal, understandable love language to me. Um, which I think is the big thing, because it wasn't really the quality of the work that I was getting back, because at the time I super loved all the work that I was getting. I can look back at the stuff that I got in return and still go, I do like these. I like what I got in exchange for my art. But the emotional aspect of it was really just super draining. And so I stopped giving gift art to people. I stopped doing like super in depth art trades with people for things that I wasn't sure was worth my time. Um, I stopped, you know, I stopped giving people art just because they were in a group with me or in a server with me. And I stopped doing requests. And it's a shame, because I really loved doing all those things when I was in RP groups. And for a long time, I just didn't anymore. I didn't do requests. I didn't draw for other people. I drew for myself, and basically myself only, barring maybe a couple of art trades here or there, or art payments if I wanted something, um, or even just like art fight. And I wasn't actually ever sure that I was going to get that back. Um, because it was something I certainly missed about myself, but it was also something that I really couldn't handle doing again. It made me feel like I was throwing energy into the ether, and that people weren't going to be giving back in a way that I felt was emotionally fulfilling to me. Um, Even if it was just like time or something like that. I don't know. I didn't feel like my work was appreciated, I guess, or anything like that, and it sucked. I was in a state where I just couldn't handle gift art for other people because I didn't want to feel like I was wasting my time. And again, this is to reiterate, this was all emotional. None of this was value or like objective quality of the work. It was all just emotionally, I felt super drained. And so I didn't do gift art for people for 2-ish years. Or if I did, it was under very specific circumstances. And I wanted to get that back because I liked drawing for people, but I didn't really want to get into that position again where I felt like, my art wasn't valued for whatever reason, which you can't actually tell if someone values your work based on their reactions to it, because that is trying to assign or read emotions to them and presume things about how they think, which just you can't do. You can't presume anything about what anyone thinks because no one's a mind reader. But my mind was just running me in circles until um, I did a lot of therapy and a lot of recovery. Not about the gift art thing, but about my life situation around that time. Because something that I realized was that my life situation at the time was actually kind of sucky. Um, 2018 and 2019, I don't remember a lot of, because when I look back on it, while I was happy then and it was not a waste of my time in any aspect, things were not as good as I thought they were. And there was a lot of stuff going on that I needed to process and recover from. And this past year in 2021, I found that spark again. And I started doing more gift art. I've done so many pieces of gift art this year. Um, and they're not for a lot of people. But the thing that I found out about myself and about my process regarding it is that the way I sort of got over my stuck little hurdle was I stopped making gift art for other people and I started making gift art for me. I put down a rule that if I made gift art, I would make sure that it would be also self indulgent for myself. My characters would be involved. There would be character interactions, or it would be just something that I enjoyed doing because I liked the character. And it wasn't a thing where it was like, I want to give this to someone because it'll make them happy. Of course, I want to make people happy when I draw them things, but putting myself first and drawing what inspired me and treating it like, well, I drew this because I felt like doing it, and you just happen to be a secondary benefactor for it because, uh, you know, it's also your character. I was just super inspired and I wanted to draw something that I enjoyed. That really helped. Um, a second thing that helped is a friend of mine who I was drawing gift art for this year um, told me something that I had never considered before. And that was that he is flattered that I draw his OCs, and at the same time, if I draw it for myself, even if it has OCs in it, I am not obligated to give him that art. I'm not obligated to show it to him. I'm not obligated to, like, gift it to him because it may be his OCs, but it is, like, if it is for me, then it is for me. And that really stood out to me as something that I'd never heard before. And of course, I wouldn't be posting art of his OCs inappropriately without telling him, or, posting detailed pictures of his OCs online in public places without showing him first, unless it was like supposed to be a surprise, like a Secret Santa or something. But in general, it was something that I hadn't really considered before, and it was a thought process that I hadn't encountered, and that was kind of freeing because it meant that it really did mean that I could draw for myself first and foremost. I didn't have to draw for anyone else, even if I just liked the design of a character or liked the color palettes or just the vibes that I got and wanted to draw them. He said that I was not obligated by any means to give it to him or make it for him. And this is a person who also doesn't draw a lot and has expressed that he doesn't draw a lot. And it really sort of put into perspective the way I had been treating my own gift art, especially as a statement of gift giving was a love language to me, and still is. But I had been putting so much emotional weight into the art that I was drawing for others that I wasn't putting myself first. And to a certain extent, you could say, well, yeah, that's like a gift giving 101. You're not putting yourself first. But at the same time, you wouldn't be monetarily buying someone things that are out of your price range or out of your budget. And while drawing art for people isn't something that costs me money, it does cost me time and emotional energy that I just didn't have to spend. And I think this new concept and this new relationship with gift art where I'm putting myself first and making stuff for me that happens to be for other people is really, really helping because it's something that I never was able to do before. And it really, really has helped me get back into my groove when drawing things and also gifting people things because I have been able to just sit down and knock out several gift art pieces that don't involve my characters this year just because I felt like they were for me first in terms of I want to do this. Not, oh, like I want to make someone happy and this is the way I'm going to do it. And it's a slight difference, but it is a difference that matters, I think. So I guess the long story short of it was I struggled a lot with gift art the past couple of years to the point where I couldn't do any gift art because I had emotionally connected it in my head with a lot of like baggage, and then I hit a wall and I hit burnout because I was in a bad place in my life at the time. And then as a result, I didn't do gift art for a long time, and I just recaptured it because I am making art for myself as a gift for myself first. And I'm very, very happy with where I am right now. And maybe that'll change in the future, but at least for now, I'm very happy with where I am. But what about you guys? Do you guys draw gift art for other people? Do you hate drawing gift art for other people because you're so nervous that they're not going to like it or that you get their character wrong? I know that's an issue for some people. Do you always draw gift art and only draw gift art for people because you don't like trying to draw your own characters? Like, Tell me about your relationship with art for other people, if you do any. What about fan art? Is that a thing that you guys do? Who knows? I would love to hear guys' thoughts and feelings on this topic and this discussion. And if you feel the same about gift art, like where it's just a burnout because you have so much emotional attachment to it, also let me know in the description. I would love to hear your feelings on it. But that is all for today's video. Thank you guys for sticking around with me for this admittedly kind of long talky video. But I will send you guys to the outro. Bye-bye. Also, quick editing apology. I don't actually have the PNG of this art anymore. That is how old it is. So, you're just gonna get this screenshotted version. I'm sorry.
Well, that's the end of this video. If you have any questions or comments, you can put those down in the description below. I would love that engagement. Or if you have any suggestions for future videos. Otherwise, any links to support me are going to be in the description below, including my Ko-fi, where you can toss me a tip. As usual, thank you guys so much for your support. Bye-bye.